The Westboro Baptist Church is known for its hate speech, especially against the LGBTQ community. The church has been involved in action against homosexuality since 1991 by protesting at funerals and concerts to spread God's message against such behavior. Westboro was founded by Minister Fred Phelps, who himself was notorious for his homophobic rhetoric and deliberate disruption of funerals of homosexual military veterans and disaster victims whose deaths he believed were the result of God's hatred of America's tolerance for homosexuality. Westboro pickets about 6 locations every day, which includes mostly military funerals and concerts. The group carries out daily picketing in Topeka and travels nationally to picket funerals of gays. Their picketing attempts have resulted in many lawsuits which are typically excused by the Supreme Court since they are protected under the First Amendment. According to the U.S. Constitution, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, of the right of the people peaceably to assemble, and to petition the government for a redress of grievance. The First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution is ratified by the Bill of Rights, which prohibits Congress from interfering with freedom of religion, speech, and assembly of petition.
More than 40 states have laws that regulate how a person can protest, because there are ways you can regulate free speech, and that is in time, place, or manner. So they have created this set of laws. That there's a federal law, and then there's 40 plus states that have created picketing laws, and those really just limit how one can protest. Sometimes it's an hour before the funeral, in the case of a funeral picket. Sometimes they say where, but these have all been tested. There's an Eighth Circuit decision that tested some of these laws, because there's a town in Missouri, it was Manchester, Missouri, where the Eighth Circuit tested that, and they determined that you can restrict where they are as long as they're still seen by the public. So you can't tuck protesters away where nobody sees them, but you can put them in one zone. And that's the way the Kansas law reads as well. Kansas law also has a restriction. I believe it's 60 minutes before the funeral. And those have upheld scrutiny from the courts, because it's still reasonable enough that people can have their say, and they can still do their protesting, but they keep them at a safe distance and create less chaos, basically.
According to the definitions of the First Amendment and the Bill of Rights, Westboro Baptist Church is undeniably protected by law to express their views in form of protest. Last Tuesday, we got to witness a Westboro protest that took place at Intrust Bank Arena here in Wichita during the Carrie Underwood concert due to her support of homosexual marriage. During the protest, the Westboro members proudly displayed signs that said "God hates fags" and "America is doomed," along with other propaganda related to homosexuality and other religious beliefs. The protest was held outside of Entrance B on the sidewalk, which limited their ability to express their beliefs to people entering the venue. The protest zone at Intrust Bank was restrictive and secluded, which prevented most people from easily spotting them.
Yeah, the truth of the matter is that the Supreme Court of the United States has said that all public areas are supposed to be held in trust for open and robust debate. So when you have a place like Intrust Bank Arena, who has decided where will be the protest zones, I don't think it's appropriate, but I'm also going to work with them, because if you look at this protest zone that they've set up, it's perfectly fine. But they didn't have any business doing it. Now, if they decided that the protest zone was going to be in the North 40, I'd have to fight them on that. Because that, therein, what they're doing is removing us from our target audience, which are the individuals that are going into this place and the people that are driving down the street, which is where we should be able to be, because that's what the Supreme Court of the United States has said we can be. The First Amendment is the brightest star in the Constitution, because without that, we would not be unique as we are in this country and have the ability that we have. We came to Wichita to conduct a religious demonstration at the concert of Carrie Underwood, because she's a very popular singer who has billed herself as a Christian and has said unequivocally that it's okay to be gay and that same-sex marriage is perfectly fine. But she claims to be a Christian. And so we must be here because it's the Christians that have caused fag marriage. And if they didn't take the approach that they do, then it wouldn't be spreading like wildfire as it is. And if they didn't divorce and remarry themselves, then the homosexuals couldn't have a basis upon which to say, well, don't look at my sin because you got your own sin. So it just goes like greased lightning across this country that fag marriage is now the law. And she's to blame because the Lord has given her a bully pulpit because people want to come and hear her sing. So she has, every time she gets on stage to conduct a concert, she has an opportunity to tell the truth of God to the people that have come to hear her sing. But the Lord gave her that platform. She wouldn't have that platform if the Lord hadn't given it to her. She needs to use it for the proper purpose, and so that's the reason we're here.
Although radical in their religious viewpoints, Westboro does have the right to express their religious ideologies by form of protest. It is agreeable that the events and views in which are protested could be considered morally incorrect or borderline hate speech. However, such speech is difficult to pinpoint and regulate. Since the government cannot restrict expression of religion or protest, the Westboro Baptist Church does have the constitutional right to exercise free speech and protest, which is protected under the First Amendment.
What better way to protect all of our views than by allowing the most radical? If we start picking and choosing what kind of speech we're going to allow based on the message that it espouses, then our speech basically becomes worthless. The only way you can guarantee free speech for everyone is by guaranteeing the most outrageous speech by few. So as an attorney, and I think not just as an attorney, I think most people probably believe that once they're able to set aside their emotions. It is hard when you watch the protest and see the signs and hear what they have to say. It is hard to put your emotions aside, but if you can, and if you can talk about it in a way that talks about whether you'd like to be able to give your opinions in a different situation, I think most people end up agreeing that it's best to allow it.